Sure, you've all been working hard this morning and that you're looking forward to a well-earned tea break. So welcome to our Tea Time Tips session, where you can sit back, relax with a hot drink and pick up a wide range of handy tips for using your Connected Falkirk device. Andy will be showing us the steps involved live in the session, so you might want to follow along with him, or you can of course come back to the recording, which will go on our YouTube channel. Whether you follow along or kick back with a cuppa, I'm sure you'll pick up some new tips and tricks. Also, keep an eye on the chat window as Kerry will be posting links to relevant YouTube videos as we go. So let's get started by looking at two menus you can access from your home screen. These both help you find things quickly, and we all know how important time is to teachers, whether in class or during preparation time. The first of these two menus is your iPad dock. This is the bar of apps that runs along the bottom of your home screen. If you're in an app, you can access it by swiping up from the bottom of the screen, and it gives you a shortcut to your favourite or most used apps. Another place on your home screen where you'll find lots of handy shortcuts is the Control Centre, and again, you can customise this to your needs. Kerry will drop a link in the chat which will take you to a YouTube video on organising your dock, and Andy is going to show us how to customise so you can find what you need quickly and easily.
Okay, Gav, so thanks very much. So first thing we want to talk about is our dock. So as you can see on my device, I have my dock set up at the bottom. Now, within your dock, you can customize this. You can have up to 13 different apps on the bottom that you most commonly use. Now, as you can see, the dock stays the same on every screen as you scroll through. One thing I would like to point out is, as you can see on the right-hand side of it, you've got the little line before the last three. So the last three app tiles that you can see there are the last three apps that I have used. So first thing I'm going to do is show you how to customize your dock. So really simple, I'm going to use the last app that I have on my current screen, and I'm going to use Padlet. So to do that, I tap and hold on Padlet, and then once the menu disappears, as you will see, the apps are now vibrating or shaking. So if I want to add Padlet to my dock, I simply tap and hold, and then I can drag that down. As you can see, that then stays on my dock. I can also change the position of where I have that. Once you're happy with that, if you want to add or move them around, in the top right of the screen, you can tap Done. As you can see, that is now locked in, and Padlet now is one of the apps that stays in my dock. It's the same if you would like to remove something from your dock, tap and hold, and then drag that to wherever you would like, and tap Done at the top right-hand corner. So as Gav said, the second thing I want to show you is how to customize your control center. Now, we're going to come back to this later, so if you are following along with us, I would recommend doing a few of these as we go. So to access our control center, I swipe down from the top right next to the battery meter with one finger. It then dulls my screen, as you can see, and it brings up my control center. Now, the first thing I'd like to highlight to us is you can see on the left-hand side of that, I've got my airplane mode, my Wi-Fi, my Bluetooth, and then my AirDrop. So the first one is a good thing at this point is if you're going to be sharing any files or photographs, etc., between yourself and other iOS devices, is how to customize your AirDrop. So I simply tap and hold on AirDrop, and then it takes me into this menu from here. Now, as you can see, I've got that set to everyone. That means my iPad is visible. As a default on your devices, it usually has contacts only. So that's one of the ones I would recommend changing quickly. So to go back in, I then tap and tap again, it takes me back to my control center. So as you can see, I have my do not disturb, I have my lock orientation, I've got my stop clock, notes, camera, stopwatch, screen record, and mute. So how do I customize my control center? So to do this, I tap on settings. And then from there on the left-hand side, I scroll down and tap on Control Center. Now you'll see that on the top right, the top of the right-hand side, it says Access within app for my Control Center. So I can quickly drag down and open that in any apps. If I toggle that off, it then means that I can't do that. So I would recommend that at all times you have that on. Right. Now, as you can see from my screen, we've got our included controls, and then we also have the more controls. So this is allowing us to now customize and add any other ones. So as you can see, I don't have text size, and we're going to come on to that. So I'm going to tap on plus, and as you can see, text size has now been added to my included controls. So if I scroll down from the right again, I've then got the option, as you can see, text size, the little icon with the 2 A's, and is now there. But you can also customize how this looks a little bit further. From my perspective, I use screen recording a lot, so I want to make sure that screen recording is always my last title. So to do that, I tap and hold on the 3 little lines to the right-hand side, and that then allows me to change the position of where the apps appear. So as you can see now, my screen recording is the last one that's on its own, and the text size has went back into its position there.
Great stuff. I think it's really important that everyone feels confident in customizing their device so that it is optimized for them as the person who's actually using it. Those first 2 tips are simple, but they genuinely save me loads of time when I'm working on the iPad. Now, our next tip is also about customization, and this time it's the text size displayed. This works for text in any document or file, and it even alters the text in the menus as well. It's a great one for teachers and pupils to know about. Kerry, can you go ahead and add the links for this section while Andy takes us through it?
Okay, so text size. Now, you will see that we just added text size to our control center. So a quick way to adjust the text size is if I scroll back down, I then have my text size, which is the 2 A's. If I tap on that, it brings me up this slider bar. Now, as you can see, I've got it set to default. As I slide my finger up, you'll see the text size increases at the top. And then if I tap to go back at my control center, you'll now see that the text below each of the apps has increased. So as you can see, back in, I can tap on it, and then I'm going to scroll that back down to default. So that's one way that you can quickly customize the text size. But I want to show you how to do this with a few other options. So once again, tap on settings, and this time, instead of going into Control Center, I want to tap on Accessibilities. As I tap on Accessibilities, you'll then see I have the display and text size. When I tap on that, it opens up a lot more menus. Now, I would recommend that you go in and investigate this a little bit further in your own time, but I want to show you a few quick ones here. So as you can see, top one, if I tap and toggle it on, bold text, it automatically changes my menus from what I would say normal text to bold text. So I can take that back off. I also have the ability to do on and off labels, where you'll see that they then change from the little ones and zeros. But the one that I want to have a look at is that idea of text size. So when I tap on larger text, you'll see very similar to before, I have the option to scroll across to change the text size. Now, as you can see on the menus on my left of my screen, that changes automatically as I swipe through. Now, you might find that that is okay, or actually that still might not be large enough for you. So if you want to access larger text, you've got the option to tap on the top. And as you can see, it has now given me significantly more ability to increase the text size. So as you'll see, as I scroll through, to change the text size, that has increased it significantly. So that might be useful for you when you're using your own personal device, or it might also be useful for your pupils when you are working with them and they have their devices that you can show them from there.
So we've seen already that you've got lots of options for customizing the way things look on your iPad. And as an English teacher, this next one, Reader View, is a personal favourite of mine. This allows you to change the way a text looks on the screen. You can declutter pop-ups and sidebars on web pages, toggle the text size, and change the background colour. It's great for concentrating on what you're reading, and it offers quick differentiation for your students. Now, if you're anything like me, regardless of how big the text is, you'll still make mistakes when typing, and you'll want to go back and edit. Andy's got another time-saving tip for how to do this using the spacebar key. And another way of changing the way things appear is split screen. This allows you to view two apps side by side. Check out the links in the chat for this one, while Andy shows us Reader View, split screen, and spacebar in action.
Okay, so first one we're going to have a look at is reader view. And as Gav highlighted, this is to do with websites and kind of decluttering and taking away kind of pop-ups and advertisements. So to do this, I need to navigate into Safari. So Safari for me is my first app on my dock, my most commonly used one. So tap on that and it opens up my web browser. From there, I'm going to tap on the blue plus, which allows me to open up a new web window. So I'm going to try and choose something that's kind of non-controversial. So I'm going to type in Chris Froome Cycling Weekly, as there was a good article on Chris Froome that was published the other day. So when I tap on and I'm into the website, as you can see, as Gav said, I've got a pop-up at the top, I've got kind of advertisements, I've got kind of other bits that if I'm trying to just look at the text, I wouldn't really want that. Now, to navigate into reader view, at the top we have our internet search bar. We also then have the little icon that we've looked at before to do with text size. So if I tap on the two A's, straight away I have the ability to change the text size by tapping on it, as you can see. When I then tap on it again, this gives me the show reader view. So when I tap on show reader view, it changes the website from having all of the pop-ups, etc., to a lot more of a streamlined version. Now, as you can see, that's much easier to read, much easier to navigate through. Within reader view, when I tap on the two A's again, I'm also able to customize that further. I can change the background color by tapping on the colors, which makes it easier for me to look at. I can also tap on the font and change the font if I so please. So that's how you use reader view and how you're able to set up reader view. Now, as Gav said, we're going to have a look at kind of split screening. So I suppose I'm going to show an example of split screening with notes. So to start split screening, I am going to pull up with one finger from the bottom of my screen. That pulls up my dock. So I'm going to open the Notes app because that's what I'm going to use for my split screening. So that's the one between the files and the settings. So if I tap and hold and then drag Notes across to the side of my iPad screen, straight away that opens up my Notes app on the side. So as you can see, I can still scroll through my website and then I can scroll through my notes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to open up a new note. So to do that, I tap on the square with a little pen in the bottom right of the notes. And when it opens up a note, automatically my keyboard pops up as well. So to minimize my keyboard just now, you have the little button that's got the keyboard with the arrow in the bottom right. So I tap on that and it minimizes my keyboard from there. So I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to just copy and paste some text. So to do that, I tap and hold on He, which opens up my selection tool. I'm then going to scroll down with one finger by pulling it. And then, as you can see, I've highlighted that text. It then gives me the option to copy. So I'm going to tap on copy. I'm then going to go back across to my notes. And when I tap on that, it brings me up my keyboard. So I now know I'm in notes. I tap again on the screen and it gives me the option to paste. When I tap on paste, as you can see, the text has now been transferred from the website across to the note. Now, as Gav said, sometimes you want to kind of move between and how do I now get back to the top or navigate if I want to make any error or I want to change any errors. So by tapping and holding on the space bar, you'll see now the cursor allows me to then move anywhere within that text. So I've went to the top. I'm going to quickly just add in a title from there, tap return down, and that's quickly allowed me to navigate between where I want to put in any additional text. Now, one final thing I'd like to show you is I'm going to minimize the keyboard again. So you might have your window set up, but you might actually want to change the size. So you have the little grey cursor in the middle. You can tap and hold, and when I do that, it then allows me to change the size of each of those windows. So that's really helpful if you're trying to take more additional notes and you want to customize how that looks. So to exit, to kind of get ourselves out of split screen, all that I do is I tap and hold on the middle line, drag all the way across to the side of my window, and that is me then out of split screen from there.
Well, I knew there was going to be a cycling reference in there at some point, Andy, but really useful tips though. Thanks for that. Personally, I find split screen is great for looking at text, but also if you've got questions in a separate document or app, it's also great for if you're making notes as you read. Now that you know how to adjust the appearance of web pages, you'll probably want a quick way to find sites that you use most often. This might be online resources you're using in class or something you just want to go back to read when you've got more time. Bookmark lets you quickly save something to return to later, and Andy will show us how.
Okay, so once again, we're going to navigate back in to Safari. So as you can see, when I navigate back into Safari, it automatically opens the internet on the web browser that I've been on. So I'm going to tap on plus, which gives me a new web window from there. So I suppose if we are talking about bookmarks, it's going to be a commonly used website or kind of document that's online. So I'm going to search for excellence, experiences, and outcomes. So as you can see, go to my website now. I have opened up the CFE documentation from there. Now that is saved on the web. So how would I create that as a bookmark? So the first thing we want to do is we want to look at and navigate to the share icon. So the share icon is in the top right next to the plus, but it's the one with the square and the little arrow. So when I tap on that, this brings up my options that I have. So you can add it to a reading list. Once again, that's another kind of tip that I would recommend going investigating. As you can see, we're talking about bookmarks. I have the ability to add it as a bookmark, add it as a favourite, or add it to my home screen. So for me, what I want us to do is I want us to have a look at the icons that are on the right-hand side. So when I'm talking about a bookmark, as you can see, that's the book icon. So I want to add it as a bookmark. I then tap on it to add. As you can see, I then have the option to type in what I want that to be saved as. So I'm just going to shorten that down to CFE. Now, then below I have the location. So I'm going to tap on bookmarks again. Now, as you can see, I have the option to save it into my favourites, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to just create it into my bookmarks. So as you can see, I already have a few folders, but I'm just going to tap on the bookmarks folder from there. To finish that and make sure and save it, I then simply tap save. So how do I now find where my bookmarks are? As I highlighted, we have the bookmark icon was the little open book. So as you can see to the left-hand side of your search bar, you tap on the bookmark icon from there. As you can see, we have favourites, we have the folders that I'd created, and then there is the bookmark that I've just created called CFE. So if I tap on that, it will then automatically direct me back to that page. So to hide my bookmarks, I tap on the book icon again. And one final thing I would like to show you is sometimes you might want to create a bookmark, but you might want to create a shortcut to your desktop, which is very, very handy for any websites you use a lot. So once again, I tap on the share icon, the square with the arrow, and then I have the option to add to home screen at the bottom. So I tap add to home screen. As before, I have the option to name what I would like that to be. So I'm going to tap add and I'm going to type in CFE. Once I tap on add, it takes me out of there. As you'll see, I then have a little tile that looks like the document on my homepage next to Padlet. When I tap on that, it opens up the web, takes me back directly into that document.
Another very useful feature, no excuses now for not having my web links organised. Now, we had a sneak peek at this next one when you added it to your control panel earlier, and that's screen record. Once you've added screen record to your control panel, it's there for you to access quickly. And Screen Record is such a powerful tool for teachers, whether you're demonstrating, explaining with visual aids, or sharing feedback to pupils with their work on the screen. Kerry will drop 2 links in the chat on screen recording as Andy demonstrates it to us live.
Okay, so for screen recording, once again, we need to navigate back to our control panel. So we swipe down from the top right with one finger, and as I highlighted, we already have added that to it. Now, as I said, this is probably my most commonly used shortcut, so I like to have it last just so I know where it is nice and easily. Now, when you go to set up your screen recording, you tap and hold on the button. When you tap and hold on the button, it gives you your options. So as you can see, I have where I would like it to save. So quick little bit of info, if you're going to be, using 2 devices, that's where you can select your second one to share your screen. But I want to make sure that I have my photos selected. Now, as you can see, mine has, the last time I used it, I had my microphone on, so it's highlighted as red. If I tap on that, I can tap my microphone off. As a default, it is always off. So make sure you hold long press on it to bring up that menu, and you don't spend 10 minutes doing an absolutely great demo and then realizing your mic's not on. So from there, I simply tap on start recording. When I tap on start recording, it gives me a countdown timer. Now, I can't show you this live as I am already sharing my screen, but I've got a little video of that process from there that I'm just going to play for you. So as you can see, the countdown timer starts. I can then simply tap on my screen to navigate back to my home screen. You'll know that your screen is recording, as in the top right-hand corner, you have the little red record button from there. So to stop my recording, I tap on the red button in the top right. It then gives me the option that it comes to here. I then simply tap on stop recording, and then you will be given the menu here where it says stop screen recording. So as soon as I've done a screen recording, it is automatically saved into my camera reel. And to access that, you navigate back out and you tap on your photographs app, and then that will be the last tile that appears there, and that will be your screen recording from there.
It's always great to have people work on screen as you talk them through strengths and weaknesses during feedback. And another way of capturing anything displayed on your iPad screen is Screenshot. Now, I'm ashamed to admit that before I found out about Screenshot, I used to use my phone to take a photo of my iPad screen. But now this feature is available at the touch of a button. Well, it's 2 buttons actually, but Andy will take care of that in a second. This is great for evidencing pupil work and making resources. A screenshot will save into your Photos app, and from there you can use markup tools to add annotations and text. Can you show us, Andy?
Okay, so can I approach this slightly differently? I'm going to use an example from my VLE. So I'm going to tap on Google Classroom, which was the app in my dock. I'm going to tap on Mr. Classroom, and lo and behold, Mr. Morrison himself has submitted a piece of work to me. So I'm going to tap to open Gav's diary entry. So from there, I have it on my screen. So to take a screenshot, I press and hold the power button and the home button at the same time. As I do that, it gives me a little click noise in the background, and you'll then see it appears in the bottom left of my screen. Now, if I'm quick enough, I can tap on it to open, but once that disappears, I can then simply go back out by tapping on the home button, tap into my photographs, and straight away I have Gav's piece of work, the screenshot that I've just done there. So to open that, I tap on it, and I'm now going to add in a little bit of kind of feedback or annotations. So once I have it open, I tap on edit in the top right hand corner. It then brings up this menu here where I can change the size. I can bring the sides in if I want to kind of remove or crop different parts of it. But the main bit that I want to show is I tap on the ellipsis. So when I tap on the ellipsis, the 3 little dots on the top, it then gives me my markup tools. So tap on markup, and automatically it brings up my pen tools. So from there, the first thing I want to show you is you can move the markup tools round about to the sides. So to do that, I simply tap and hold and drag them to wherever it is that makes it easiest for me to edit. So you have your pen, your highlighter, your crayon, and your rubber. To select it, I simply tap on the first one, and as you can see, it then moves up. So I've just tapped on the highlighter, it then moves up a little bit, proud of the rest, so that means that has selected. I then tap on it again, it brings up my little menu, so I can change the thickness, I can change the opacity of that, I can then tap on any of the colours at the side, which allows me to change that. So I'm going to do a little bit of annotation on Gav's work. So I like trudging. It's this idea of the kind of hard work. I'm then going to use the crayon, make sure it's quite opaque, so I'm not kind of making it overly prominent. I'm going to go through, oh, made a wee mistake there. I'm going to highlight all the eyes because I'm going to then tap on my rubber. Quickly rub that one out, made a little mistake there. So as you can see, I've highlighted or circled a few different kind of parts. So I'm then going to tap on my pen tool and I'm going to give Gav some feedback. Fantastic, Gav. Loved the info plus examples. I'm going to pose him a question. Can you think about how to start your sentences? So from there, once I'm happy with what I've annotated on, I tap on done in the top right hand corner. When I've tapped on done, it then gives me the option again. I can then change the size, etc. Don't want to do any of that. So if I'm happy with it, once I tap on done, it then saves that. So it has now overwritten the original photograph. So I'm going to tap on the back arrow in the top left. Now, as you can see in the bottom right of my screen, that was just the original picture, but that is now the picture with the annotations on it from there.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate the demo and the feedback. I'll take that on board for next time. We're all here to learn after all. Now, we realise that's us coming up on time, but we do still have one more tip to try and squeeze in. So we're going to keep on going, but please feel free to hop off if you need to. We understand everybody's really busy today. The last one we're going to try and get in is cloud save. And if that diary entry of mine wasn't enough for you, here's another short story from my exciting life. I used to have all of my teaching resources on a portable hard drive. Now, I say used to because it got damaged and I lost everything. And this happened 2 days before HMIE came in. Not what you'd want. Now, cloud save means you can access your files from any device at any time. And most important of all, they are safe. Please, please, please learn from my mistake. Use cloud save. Now, Kerry has a chat link to a video on saving to OneDrive, and Andy has another demonstration for us.
Okay, so my personal preference is I use my iCloud Drive, I use my Google Drive, and I use OneDrive. So using all of them, I can navigate into each of the apps individually, but I like to use Apple's Files option. So as you'll see on my tool dock at the bottom, between Teams and Notes, I have Files. So I'm going to tap on Files to open it from there. So as you can see on the left-hand side, I have my iCloud Drive, OneDrive, my Padlet Drive, and my Google Drive. Now, some of you may not have all of these options there automatically. So if you tap on the ellipsis at the top, that then gives you this menu here. Tap on Edit Sidebar, and as you can see, as long as you have logged in to your OneDrive or your Google Drive through the app, it'll then allow you to either toggle them on or toggle them off. So as you can see, I like to have all of mine on, as I think that's a nice way that allows me to customize that. So if I'm going to share a file, let's go back and I am going to just use Gav's bit of feedback that I've given him. So I'm going to navigate back to my photographs. I'm going to tap on Gav's piece of work here. So as before, when we're looking to share anything, we tap on the share icon, which is the square with the blue arrow. When I do that, it brings me up this menu here. Now, as I said, you can directly save to OneDrive, Google Drive, etc. But I'm going to show you by scrolling down and doing save to files. So when I tap on save to files, it brings me up with all of my files options. So I can choose iCloud Drive, I can choose OneDrive, I can choose Google Drive. So I'm going to do through Google Drive. So I tap on that. It takes me into my classroom folder. I'm then going to tap into Mr. Old's class and I'm going to tap save from there. So that is now me uploaded that photograph to my files. I'm then going to tap back into files, tap on Google Drive at the side, tap on classroom because I saved it into the classroom folder, tap on Mr. Old, and there we have, when I tap on that, that'll open the feedback that I've just saved in, which was for Gav.
Excellent stuff, Andy. Well, we've gone all Spinal Tap there and turned it up to 11. By my count, that is 11 individual tips and tricks that you've shown us this morning. So we're sure there was something in there for everyone. Please remember to check out the links in the chat to our YouTube videos which relate to these tricks, and most of all, enjoy using your new knowledge to support learning and teaching. Now, before we go, we would really appreciate if you could take a few minutes to complete our feedback form, the link for which is being dropped into the chat now. Last thing for me to say then is thank you very much for coming. We hope you all have a great day from here. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.